All right, here we are. Eagles Bucs going on right now, but Steelers Chiefs tonight. All right, just really quick checking in. Bucs 3rd and 5. 10:50 left to go in the third quarter. Brady out of the gun. Oh, nice pass breakup by Darius. No, it's Steven Nelson, the former Steeler. Tampa Bay is going to punt. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the stream Steelers Chiefs tonight in what could be the best game on the docket or could be a 30-point blowout, and then Big Ben goes out Dan Marino style. It's going to be one or the other. There's going to be no in-between modest 11 to 12-point win for Kansas City. It's either going to be a complete blowout or the Steelers are going to bring this down to the very last play of the game. I mean, there's no in-between when you're talking with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So both teams have pretty simplified formulas to winning this football game. I'll start with Kansas City because they're the ones who come into this game as double-digit favorites in the playoffs. So what do? They just got to control the ground game. They got to run the football like many teams have been doing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they have to take advantage of what we assume is going to be, kind of that soft coverage zone defense that the Steelers are going to run. They ran it a couple of weeks ago against Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes made the easy throws, made the easy plays, took what the Steelers gave him, and made things look insanely easy against the Steelers defense. And you got Derek Gore. He had a great game on the ground and then had that 130-plus yard catch, I believe, down the sideline that set up another touchdown drive. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a relatively good game, had that touchdown run early on, but he is out for this game, so they're going to have to rely on Darrell Williams a lot more to run the football. And I don't think it's too much of a downgrade from Clyde Edwards-Helaire to Darrell Williams in terms of the running back that's going to be getting the line share of carries. But they have to make an impact on the ground and then through the air in the check down game if the Steelers go back to that soft coverage too high zone against Kansas City. And the Chiefs also have to play very sound and fundamental defensively. They have to be able to stop the run against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, again, that has not been a hard thing to do against the Steelers this season. And then they have to get to Big Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, it's the same formula that the Steelers are going to need to follow. Both teams need to control the ground game on both sides of the football and then get to the opposing team's quarterback. And I think that Steve Spagnuolo is going to dial up some blitzes, load the box, and get after the Steelers' offensive line, which has been prone to the blitz, which has struggled this season. They're getting Dan Moore back at left tackle, though, so that's going to be a big upgrade. Kendrick Green being out at center, J.C. Hassenauer going in. That has been a big upgrade at center. And Hassenauer hasn't, for NFL standards, played at an above-average, great elite level, but it has been that much better from Kendrick Green that this offensive line has taken a big leap forward. The one game where Dan Moore and J.C. Hassenauer both play, where he had Moore at left tackle, John Leglue at left guard, J.C. Hassenauer at center, Trey Turner at right guard. You got Chukuma Okorafor at right tackle. Najee Harris went for 188 yards and a touchdown on 28 carries. Steelers rushed for nearly 200 yards of total offense. I think they actually did go for 200 yards of rushing offense. They were able to run the ball very effectively against the Cleveland Browns with that lineup at offensive line. They're going to get it back for this game tonight, and the Steelers are going to need to be able to handle the blitz that Spagnuolo is going to dial up because he's going to load the box, he's going to bring the blitz, and he's going to get after the Steelers' backfield. He's going to get after Najee Harris, and he's going to get after Big Ben Roethlisberger, and he's going to get after this Chiefs offensive line. And that's for sure. We'll talk about the Steelers, formula to victory here in a second. Man, as a Cowboys fan, I'm nervous about today's game too. I mean, that's probably going to end up being the best game, Cowboys 49ers. I think the 49ers win that game. To be honest, I just think that rushing offense and then the way Shanahan has been able to use Deebo Samuel this entire season, it's just been nearly unstoppable, especially in the second half. Deebo Samuel, that wide receiver, running back, almost hybrid, if you will. I mean, the 49ers offense on the ground and then just Deebo Samuel himself has been unstoppable, and that 49ers defense has really come on here in the later part of the season and now heading in to the playoffs. So Bucs Eagles, they're coming back from that commercial break. Apparently the Bucs got the football back. I flipped this off real quick. Tampa Bay football. Brady out of the play action just dumped a screen off to Giovanni Bernard for about 20 yards. Nice stiff arm on that run from Bernard. for a pretty big gain right there. So ball at, I believe, the 25. 9:50 to go. Bucs going to choose some clock. They're going to snap that. No, they're not. They're going to have to burn a timeout here. Play clock was running down there for Tampa Bay. So it looked like a muffed punt there by the Eagles. No kick catch interference called, which, I mean, that was the right call. I think it was Scotty Miller there on the punt coverage unit was close to Watkins. They're trying to haul in that punt. Oh, Arians got into it with one of his players right there, trying to get into a fight. Whew. Bruce Arians trying to get into it right there. So here we go. 1st and 10 for Tampa Bay coming off of that timeout. Ball's at the 26. Brady's going to hand it off. Looks like Bernard again. He only gets 2 that time. The Eagles stop him. 2nd and long. And both teams, they've tried to kind of control this game on the ground. They've tried to get their running games going to dominate this football game. Only one team has been able to do that. Obviously, it's the team up 17-0, Tampa Bay. The Eagles, the second half of the season, they continued to run the football and run it effectively after cries from literally everybody that watched the Eagles to run the football. And it worked. Got them into the postseason after a 2-5 start. Hasn't been working today, though. Tampa Bay was all over it. That right there looked like a 5-yard completion to Cameron Brate. 4 or 5-yard pass from Brady to the second-string tight end. Brady 22 of 28 for 186 yards. Doesn't have a touchdown yet. Those touchdowns belong to Giovanni Bernard and Keyshawn Vaughn on the ground. I feel like the Steelers are going to win, and I'm a Browns fan. You're probably the only non-Steelers fan, I would say, that doesn't think that the Chiefs are going to win this game, I would say. There are a couple people, actually, outside of Pittsburgh that think that the Steelers can win this game. As there's a big pass to Mike Evans. Evans down to the 2. Look like a 17-yard completion, and Tampa's got 1st and goal. I mean, you had to imagine Evans is going to make a big impact on this game with AB, pulling in AB. And then you got Godwin out for the season with the ACL. So you go to Mike Evans, one of your big X factors on offense to step up. And you got your top 2 running backs out with Rojo and Leonard Fournette not playing. So Evans, he's made a big impact. 7 catches, 77 yards now. As we're, 4 hours and 50 minutes until the Steelers play, and Gronk is wide open in the back of the end zone. Brady to Gronk in the playoffs. That is almost a guarantee. Those two hooking up for a touchdown. Live on both YouTube and TikTok, by the way, so I'm going to flip between the two chats and trying to answer questions here in between moments in the Bucs-Eagles game. You crazy if you think the Steelers are going to win. I don't think the Steelers are going to win. It's unfortunate. But they have a chance. They've got a chance in this game. There's no doubt. Every team in the playoffs has a chance to win. Extra points good from Suck Up, 24-0, and Tampa Bay has put away Philly. I think Greg Zuerlein or Mike McCarthy will lose this game. I don't know if Zuerlein will. But yeah, McCarthy probably not going to win this game. All right, I'll be back in a minute once this commercial break's over. What do you need? All right, back from commercial, and it looks like right away the Eagles get things going. Bro, this guy just said the Eagles are done with the Steelers done before the game started. They got a chance. That's all I'm going to say. It's a playoff game. Quick screen and 1 yard for Quez. Yeah, that was actually Jalen Reagor, my bad. Looked like Watkins at first. This game ass, yeah. And if the Steelers do get blown out tonight, I do think that the question does come up about eliminating the 7th seed. And even if the Steelers play a close game, this is going to bring that discussion up of, do we keep the 7th seed or no? Quick out, Miles Sanders, and he scoots for an extra 3 yards, gets 8 total on the play, and sets up 3rd and manageable for the Eagles. On this next commercial break, we'll talk about how the Steelers can win this game against Kansas City. Might get into it a little bit about the Cowboys 49ers, which is a very intriguing matchup. Probably everybody's number one matchup in terms of what is going to be the best game on Super Wildcard Weekend. Here we go. Hurts in the shotgun. 3rd and 3. And another throw that looked like it was slightly underthrown. That one to Quez Watkins. A bit behind and underthrown by Hurts, and it's 4th and 3. And, I mean, you got to go for this. If you want to show any bit of fight, yeah, throw behind Watkins right there. And that's not one where it's thrown behind to try to keep your wide receiver away from a safety or somebody that might have made a big hit. I mean, he throws that behind Watkins with a safety behind, like 2 Watkins back, and then a corner trailing Watkins. So you got to put that one in front of him. Steelers are first round exits. Yeah, so overused jokes. Pats were insane. Oh, nice pick. One-handed tip to himself. Shaq Barrett, and running after the catch. Barrett gets to the 36. Nice play by Shaq Barrett right there. And Bucs could make this 31-0. If they could take this down and get a touchdown, at the very least, they're going to make this 27-0 there in field goal range. And you got to imagine Brady, Arians, and everybody wants to just, hand the ball off, establish yourself on the ground, or continue to establish yourself on the ground, I should say, and, kind of ice this game. I got to feel tough for that guy in the full-out Eagles costume right there. What do you want us to do with Juju outside, like the Packers game, or more the slot? And the Packers game, he got open a decent amount of times, and Ben just couldn't hit him, which is why he didn't have a couple of touchdowns and quite a few yards. To his credit, he could have had a big stat line game if Big Ben could have played well. I think the Packers game was probably Ben Roethlisberger's worst game of the season. We could all agree on that. That one or either game against the Cincinnati Bengals. But I think you got to line him up in the slot. Him and Freiermuth, line them up in the slot. You got to keep Claypool and Deontay Johnson outside on either side of the line of scrimmage. Continue to get them on the outside because they've been winning outside a decent amount this season. And without Juju, Freiermuth's been that 3rd down, certified chain mover. You got 2 of those now. You don't have to target Ray McLeod a bunch, lining up McLeod in the slot. You don't have to target James Washington a bunch, giving him snaps that the Steelers obviously do not want to give him. So Juju coming back is going to be big. Schematically, I think you just dumb it down and put him in the slot a bunch, make him kind of the security blanket for Ben Roethlisberger, the quick option for Big Ben to kind of try to combat the blitzes and the stacked boxes that Kansas City is going to come with tonight on the defensive side of the ball. As an Eagles fan, I want to point out we haven't used who we used to win. Jordan Howard and Smith are who helped us win. Where are they at? And, I mean, that's going to be what a lot of people say, but you have to credit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for having a good defensive game plan coming into this game. Obviously, Tom Brady teams are insanely good at schematically preparing for games, considering he's one of the smartest, if not the smartest football player of all time, one of the highest IQs we've ever seen from a football player. His teams are always schematically ready to go on both sides of the football, so you got to give those guys and the coaching staff and the guys who create the schemes and the game plans, got to give them a lot of credit for this one. Please beat the Chiefs. I mean, I mean, they'll try. Obviously, they're not just going to go into Kansas City and not play in a playoff game. That's not how the Steelers roll. Really hope the Steelers win this. I mean, it's going to be a 4-quarter battle more than likely. Brady, play action, deep ball, Evans touchdown. 36 yards right out of the gate from that turnover. Mike Evans, 8 catches. Believe he's got 105 yards, something around that, and a touchdown. A big game for Evans, and everybody anticipated he would have a big game, and he's going to have a big playoff run for Tampa Bay if they want to go on and win a Super Bowl. Brady off the play action. Well, that's a nice route by Evans, the up and out. And he breaks a tackle, nearly fell down, but he does that little somersault into the end zone. Score now 30-0. Suck up about to make it 31-0. But the win in Tampa Bay has been really bad today. It's been a good job by Suck Up to continue to make extra point after extra point and then the field goal. So it's 31-0. Suck Up drains another one. That candidate shouldn't call the plays. He should never have been able to call the plays. I don't know why any of us really put faith in him to be a good play caller and offensive coordinator. So, I mean, I hope that he doesn't really crap the bed, but you anticipate he will with how the season has gone. I left for 5 minutes and it's 17-0. Now it's 31-0. Jay Berg, just give Ben the playbook. I agree with that. I just give Ben the ability to call every single play. And at some point, this game is going to come down to Big Ben backyard football. I firmly believe that. And sometime in the third or fourth quarter, it will transition from, sticking with the game script to Big Ben, backyard, draw it up in the dirt type of football. That is how this game will go at some point. 78th scrimmage TD for Evans. Some of the most in Tampa Bay history. Putting on my Mahomes jersey. Way better shot than the Eagles. I do think the Steelers have a better shot than the Eagles, especially with how the Eagles, have played today. A lot of people thought that they had a chance at an upset considering that the Bucs had so many weapons out offensively. That's not been the case. They're down 31-0, set to lose it to another playoff team in the playoffs and have 0 wins against postseason teams this year. And they would be all alone for that. I believe that they're the only team without a win against a playoff team, with Jacksonville picking up that win over Indianapolis on the last game of the season. The Texans have a couple of wins against playoff teams, the Chargers and the Titans. So, yeah, not a great season for Philly in terms of games against good teams. Steelers offense is the most boring thing I've ever seen. It ain't good. It's not good. And it's not going to be insanely fun to watch tonight, but hopefully that defense does enough to keep them in this football game. Hurts fakes the handoff, and he is swallowed in the backfield. Good God, Tampa Bay making this thing look easy. Is Fox pause for you? No, but I mean, I've got this streaming right now, so I mean, I'm obviously a couple of plays behind everybody right now, so bear with me in terms of where I am at in the game. Second and 13, Hurts in the shotgun. And looked like a batted pass, incomplete. 4:30 to go, 3rd and 13. And at this point, the Eagles are playing for pride. No way around it. Playing for pride right now, down 31-0 on the road against Tampa Bay, against Tom Brady in the playoffs, and that dude on the edge just completely unblocked. And defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay, Todd Bowles, he's definitely going to get a lot of head coaching looks. I know that the last job he did as a head coach was not great in New York with the Jets. I mean, no head coach has gone to the Jets and been successful since Rex Ryan. But I feel like that he deserves a head coaching job somewhere. He's done a great job schematically with this Buccaneers defense. And, I know they got a lot of talent on that side of the football, but you still have to, come up with a good game plan week in and week out to have a defense as good as Tampa Bay has had these last 2 years. So Bowles is going to deservedly get some looks for a head coaching job. He's done a great job with this Tampa Bay defense in the last couple of seasons. I'm a Dolphins fan, but I lived in Pittsburgh my entire life. It's still sad to see Ben retire. Yeah, hopefully this isn't his last game, but you got to anticipate that being the case. As Tampa Bay's return man Darden doesn't even get to the 20. Maybe he got to the 20, not quite sure where they're going to mark this down, but Brady and the Bucs, they're going to have a chance to run a lot of clock out here and bring this thing towards the end. Probably going to hop off of here at the conclusion of the Bucs and Eagles game, but now, we got to get into how can the Steelers win this game? How can they pull off one of the bigger upsets in recent memory, especially in playoff history? Going on the road to Kansas City against a healthy Chiefs team with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, all the playmakers that they have, even on the defensive side of the ball with Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, all those guys. How do the Steelers do it? How do they pull this upset? First off, you have to control the run game on both sides of the football. Defensively first, the Steelers' run defense has not been good at all. Statistically, one of the worst, if not the worst, in the NFL. Historically, one of the worst in Pittsburgh Steelers history. Consistently down the stretch, they've given up big-time games to Dalvin Cook, the Detroit Lions. They held the Browns in check somehow, but the Ravens went for nearly 200 yards. I think they actually went over 200 rushing yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tennessee had a pretty solid day on the ground, even without Derrick Henry. They have to control the run game defensively if they want to have a chance in this one. And then offensively, you also have to be great on the ground. This offensive line has been pretty solid with Dan Moore, John Leglu, J.C. Hassenauer, Trey Turner, and Jakuma Okorafor as your starting lineup on the offensive line. We've only seen that for one game, and Najee went for 188 rushing yards on 28 carries, also added a touchdown to his stat line. That they were really good against the Cleveland Browns a couple of weeks ago. The offensive line was, and the run game with Najee Harris and really everybody was also good because of it. They benefited because of it. You have to be able to run the football effectively, not just with Najee Harris straight down the gut, between the tackles, outside zone plays. Not just that, but you also have to be able to effectively use those fly sweeps and jet sweeps and end arounds with Claypool. And now you got Juju back. You can use him, Deontay Johnson. You have to be able to use those effectively to make the Chiefs respect those motions, and also open up things for Najee Harris. They have to be able to control the run game defensively and offensively. As for Big Ben Roethlisberger, he just has to continue to make big throws in the fourth quarter and overtime if need be. Third quarter, you'd prefer the whole game, but you got to imagine that this thing's coming down to the fourth quarter with the ball in Big Ben's hands at some point with a chance to tie or take the lead if this game is close. If it's a blowout in the first quarter, second quarter, throw it all out the book. Throw it all out the window, I should say. But he has to continue to make big-time plays on big-time throws on third and fourth down if need be. He made some big ones against the Ravens. That 3rd and 7 completion to, I believe it was Deontay Johnson on the little in-and-out route. The 4th and 8 completion to Ray McLeod. The 3rd and 9 completion to Freiermuth. He has to continue to make those big-time throws and big-time plays if it gets down to a game-winning drive like that. And defensively, you cannot let Patrick Mahomes create his magic. You cannot let him escape the pocket, extend plays, and do the things that he has done in the postseason. I mean, he's magical all the time, but specifically in the postseason, he's been able to make those types of plays. TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, Chris Wormley, all those guys on the defensive front have to get to the quarterback, and they have to get him down quickly. You cannot let him escape the pocket and make those types of plays and make things look easy for Kansas City the way that they made things look easy 3 weeks ago at the same location. And I think final score is 36-10. You cannot let that happen again, especially in the postseason. That's the Steelers' keys to victory. 3rd and 18 for Tampa Bay. They're just going to run it and then punt this thing away with about 1:45 to go in the third quarter with a 31-0 lead. I think that we all can say that Tampa Bay has this game sealed up. Minkah with 1 pick. That is also something that I would say needs to happen. You need an interception, preferably Minkah Fitzpatrick, considering that he's one of your bigger playmakers. On that side of the football, TJ Watt, I think that he has a couple of sacks in this game. But everybody's got to step up to the plate, and they got to play their best ball if the Steelers want to win this game. Playing for fantasy points, I would put Gabbert in now. I mean, why wouldn't you? Should put Pinion at quarterback. Why not? Put in Minshew for the Eagles. Yeah, get a look at the Steelers' 2022 quarterback. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I would not mind Gardner Minshew as the Steelers quarterback in 2022, but we're not talking about that right now. We got one last game at least guaranteed with Big Ben. Hopefully an extra one if they can win tonight. Sorry about that. Thoughts on Juju going into the game? He's going to have a big impact in this game. He's going to have to be the chain mover on third downs. It can't just be Freiermuth anymore. He's got to be a chain mover on third down. I think you just dumb it down, put him in the slot, make him a security blanket for Ben to go to when Kansas City brings the blitz. You know, you can't put him into a big-time role, especially schematically, when you didn't have too much time to prepare for that. I mean, Juju coming back even caught the Steelers off guard. So I think you just dumb it down, put him in the slot, make him a security blanket for Ben Roethlisberger in this game. But he does have to come up huge in those third down scenarios, you know, running and trying to move the chains the way Freiermuth has been doing the past few weeks with Juju Smith-Schuster out. What wide receiver do you think is going to Chicago? I think they draft a wide receiver sometime in the second round, considering that they don't have their first round pick. I don't know if they sign a free agent wide receiver. If they do, a guy like Juju might fit in Chicago as Hurts downfield couldn't get Quez Watkins on a 2nd and 13 on what would have been a touchdown if he could have connected. Would have kind of been a stat pattern right there for the both of them. Hurts is 16 of 31, 140 yards, couple of picks, no touchdowns. Third and 13. Tampa Bay looking to put the ball back into their offense's hands, up 31-0 as Hurts hit as he throws, a wobbler, incomplete. 6 seconds left in the third. Now 4th and 13, and the Eagles are going to punt this away, and Tampa Bay is going to have a chance to run about a 5-6 minute drive, end it with a touchdown, preferably for the Bucs, and really put this thing on ice. Is this Jimmy G's last game as a 49er? No, because I think the 49ers win this game. Hurts just looks playing bad right now. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is not playing quality football right now. I mean, to be fair, nobody is on the Philadelphia Eagles, but specifically Jalen Hurts, especially getting put under that quarterback microscope that we all have nowadays. Ohio State's going to be scary next year, I hope. I mean, a lot of changes to that staff. You're bringing in some new guys defensively, a lot of talent getting brought in on that side of the ball. Still some inexperience, but you got to hope that you can make vast improvements defensively, and then offensively they're going to be just as good, if not better, than they were last year. They were one of, if not the best offenses in college football. So you're not worried on that side. You just got to make the improvements necessary on the defensive side of the football when talking about the Buckeyes. The pick at the end of the half ended the game. Yeah, I mean, that interception by Hurts, that was a dumb play by Hurts. You got to throw that one out of bounds, live to see another down, especially when you're still in the game at that point. You throw that pick, all the possible momentum you could have had going into the locker room goes out of the door. You're playing Tom Brady on the road in the playoffs. You're done at that point. NFL Network cursed the Cowboys, though. They did the classic, everyone takes one team. I'm surprised because that's been talked about as one of the best games upcoming on Wild Card Weekend. One of the most anticipated matchups of Wild Card Weekend. I'm so nervous. Yeah, I'm real nervous for this one. I feel like we need to give Jimmy more credit. He's raised his own value to the Niners and other teams. I don't know if that was kind of a shot at what Schefter had to tweet out earlier because he got the bag from Jimmy G's agent or not, but yeah, that was a good one. I mean, he has played some pretty decent football down the stretch. You got to give him a little bit of credit, but we're not doing the whole. He gets almost all the credit. He's raised his value. He's going to get a lot of money in free agency. That's not happening. Steelers have literally no chance. I'm going to try not to say anything until after the game because, again, everything being said about the Steelers not having a chance could very well be correct, and then the Steelers could get blown out. Very much a possibility in this game. Yeah, Pats and the Eagles both got it handed to them. Really got it handed to them. I think USC will be good next year with Lincoln Riley. I don't think they'll be good out of the gate. Do not expect them to do an insane amount. I don't think they'll win the Pac-12 next year. But after that, with the recruiting classes, Lincoln Riley's quickly putting together the transfers that he's bringing in straight from Oklahoma and then around the country within the next 3 years, especially if the USC can get Caleb Williams. They're going to be back to being as scary as they were back in the early 2000s when they won a natty and then nearly won another. Will Juju re-sign? I don't think he will. I think that money is going to go towards offensive linemen and secondary members and then another inside linebacker or two. So I don't think that there's going to be enough money for Juju to re-sign unless he's willing to take another pay cut to stay in Pittsburgh and wait out that big extension for 4 years that we all know he wants. Big KC fan being from KC. I have seen them throw away a game. I assume that's what you're saying. So far, the Raiders are the only wild card team that's actually put up a fight. I mean, that's true. I think that we'll see the Cowboys and 49ers put up a good fight upcoming in, about 50 minutes? 50 minutes-ish. Score prediction for the next game. Tough one, close game. I think the fourth quarter features a lot of back and forth. Offense is starting to take over. I'll take the 49ers to win this game. They win it 37-34 on a game-winning field goal by Robbie Gould. In regulation. This does not go to overtime. Brady gets sacked again, and the Eagles' front seven putting together a decent game, at least getting to Tom Brady. Singleton with a sack. Kind of padding those stats here in the fourth quarter. (37-34). My anxiety would be through the roof. I've talked myself into the Steelers winning. I've talked myself into the Steelers making this a game going into the fourth quarter. I've talked myself into doing that. I don't think I've been able to talk myself into we are winning. Not yet. That's not where we've gotten. And I don't think we'll get there unless the Steelers are in the lead or are in a close game in the fourth quarter. Chiefs 49 Steelers down. I think that's going way overboard. That's just me though. In the playoffs, do they keep going to overtime? Yeah, in the playoffs, There is no tie. They continue to the overtime rules apply, but if it's tied at the end of the first overtime, you go into a second overtime, third overtime, etc. until you have a winner. I think 35-17. I don't think it's going to be that big of a blowout because I'd consider 35-17 a blowout in a playoff game. I would have rather seen the Saints or Vikings right now. Maybe the Saints because they always put up a fight against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, but not the Vikings. Not the Vikings. Who do you think the Steelers QB will be next year? With the reports coming out, I think it's going to be Haskins. Apparently, he has caught the eye of Tomlin, caught the eye of everybody in Pittsburgh, and it seems like Haskins is trending towards starting next year unless the Steelers draft Kenny Pickett, which I don't see happening. I really don't see that happening. Thoughts on Raiders fans crying about the refs? I mean, you had a chance to win that game at the end of it. Carr throws the pick, and then obviously the game's over. But yeah, that play should have been blown dead. They have a right to be angry about the 7 points that the Bengals were given. But who's to say that the Bengals don't just go ahead and score on the next play because you replay third down in that scenario? Who's to say that the Bengals don't score on that play or get a first down and then eventually score later in that drive? So a lot of hypotheticals with that one. Last night was not nearly as bad as the tuck rule. Not nearly as bad as the tuck rule. I'm scared the Steelers will end up like the Bucs game. It either ends up like this, it ends up like Buffalo, or it's a really close game at the end. No in between. No in between. All right, looks like this game's over, so I'm gonna hop off here. Try to prepare for the Steelers game. I will be live TikTok and YouTube following the Steelers Chiefs game for reaction, whether it is that blowout or it's a close game and the Steelers possibly pull it out. So stay tuned for that. And